is this palette as good as the Chanel Denim palette? If you want to know what I think about this palette and this look, plus another look, watch this. I always thought that Dior eyeshadows fell into the same bucket as Chanel eyeshadows because I find Chanel eyeshadows quite powdery and not very pigmented. But I did love the blue look. In the end, I went and got myself the Dior palette. So today what we're going to do is not one but two looks. I've been practicing a little bit, but this is still very, very early days for me. So first I'm going to do a wearable daytime look, and then I'm going to build it up and make a pop-in nighttime look. So if you want to find out if these formulas are up to it and how I get them to work, watch this. First up, Tatcha Skin Canvas. I've got quite a lot of blemishes today, so lots of things to cover up, but I don't want to overdo it because of the blue eyeshadow. This is going to be as much a lesson for me as it is for you guys, because I am not sure how it's going to work. Like I say, I did do a little bit of playing, but by no means was it everything that needed to be done. As usual, my Very Valentino light lasting foundation, which they claim was invented to reflect Valentino gowns, which is basically that they're light and floaty. This is definitely light and floaty, and you don't need much of it, that's for sure. It's a really, really lovely foundation. It kind of dries down to a matte, but it does give you a glow. Now the interesting thing about this is that as I was colour matched in the store, they actually matched me with a cool tone. This is the shade MR2, which I would never have picked up online. I never buy foundations online, I just can't. I've never really guessed with a high-end foundation, it's just too much money. It says here on their website, it's very light and very lasting. The semi-matte finish perfectly balances 3 foundation dreams: buildable coverage, breathable texture and 24-hour wear, and is infused with glycerin for a fresh, hydrating feel upon application. That's a lot of words, but it looks fabulous. It really does. It looks like a second skin. The other good thing is it actually comes in 40 shades. They are very inclusive, which I think is always a good thing. Okay, now I'm going to use my Rare Beauty bronzer, and it's in the colour Happy Soul. My placement is a bronzer placement, but I kind of use it as a contour too. It blends very easily. I'm not going to contour my nose because I don't want to look sculpted. I want to look fresh and spring-like. Right, that will do for now. I'm going to be blending more in the future, but for now it's fine. Dark triangles next. And I'm going to let this dry before I add concealer. For those of you who don't know, I have very dry skin. I don't get oily, and for that reason I hardly ever wear powder. So that's dried down, and while I was waiting I did my eyebrows. I just outlined them, filled in the gaps and put on a bit of Rare Beauty brow gel. I also put a little bit of concealer on my lids and tight lined my top lash, because it's important to keep that definition and not let it get drowned out by this insane blue look that I'm about to put on my face. This is the Natasha Denona in P2, which is the right colour for me, and it's very lightweight but actually has great coverage and doesn't dry out my under eyes, which is really important for me. So that's my base almost done. I just need to put on a little bit of blush, and I always start with this Westman Atelier in Petal because it gives me a great foundation for everything else that I'm going to put on. A little bit of highlighter. This is the Vive highlighter, which is nice and pink. I'm going to just lightly tap that in. I have actually got a bonus product when it comes to highlighter, which I'll tell you about when we get to that point. There, a bit glowy, but it'll all work itself out. Just need to set my concealer with the tiniest touch of the Givenchy in 03. This is the pressed powder version of the Prisme Libre. And here it is, the palette. You can see the 5 shades. The centre shade is a glitter topper. It's very sparkly. The deep blue matte is a matte navy blue for definition and structure, and you can use that for shading as well. Then there's a shimmering blue mint topper, which is a sparkling blue with a hint of minty iridescent shift. The formula is infused with cornflower extract, providing a comfortable, non-creasing, no makeup feel. Well, we'll see about that. Now, what I did find yesterday was that although it comes with these kind of like 2 cute brushes, which I know some people absolutely can't live without when they buy a luxury palette, but these 2 I haven't really used, but I'm sure they'll come in useful for something. But they're quite cute because they're not kind of boring. They have a kind of silver handle which kind of matches the rest of the palette, so that's quite nice. Now, what I did find was that actually yesterday I tried with brushes and then I tried with my fingers, and actually fingers is so much better. So I am going to try this blue here on my lid.
Let's get started.
But I'm just applying it very gently, very softly. I'm not doing much work. There's absolutely no work to be done here. You can see why it's handy to have the upper lash line already defined, because it keeps you in mind of the general shape. I'm going to slightly adapt this eye, and I'm adding this Victoria Beckham bronzer, but it's basically to bridge the colour gap between the icy blue and my skin. So there's something really warm for it to blend into. Try not to use anything too orange. Back to the palette, and I'm going to use this darker blue on the outer edge. I don't really like using my fingers, it's just not very accurate, but it does get you the best payoff. I'm not saying there's no payoff with a brush, it's just this is the most immediate payoff that you get. So that's going on the outer third of my lid. And now I am going to use a brush because I do need to be a bit more precise, and I'm going to use this grey colour here just to give a bit more depth. And you can see they're actually quite good, these shadows, at blending themselves. I'm not actually doing very much. At the moment I am just popping everything down so that I've got it all where I need it. But it does actually, it's a good formula in the sense that it does kind of blend itself, which is really cool. I'm actually really glad, I'm really proud of myself for actually not falling for the Chanel denim collection, because it is actually much more expensive than this one. People do really like the Chanel denim palette, but those shadows have never really worked for me. There we go. Now this is a good time to just do a little bit of initial blending, because we're not doing an evening smoky eye. We're just going to make this a wearable daytime blue look. Now if you've got hooded eyes, it really helps to kind of look down and just see if there's any jagged edges.
Oh, that's real good.
And you can just I'm hardly touching my eyelid, just blend the colour. There you go, and I think that is a very good daytime wearable look. Okay, mascara next. I'm going to try for the first time this Essence Volumizer, which I've had for a while, but I've actually never tried it. So as you can see, it's white, and I think it went viral on TikTok at some point, quite a long time ago. We're going for fluttery rather than dramatic lashes. But there's nothing wrong with a bit of volume. They call it a super primer with super fruits, whatever that does. So I'm going to give that a chance to dry, and then I'm going to go into the L'Oreal Telescopic, which I think I've used once, and I wanted to give it another try because I really like. Look how thin this brush is. It's so cool. Quite a good combo. Look at that, that's amazing. I don't know why I've slept on that, it's been out forever. I'm just going in with a little bit of a brown. I'm not going to line my under eye, not for this look anyway. It's a nice light daytime look, remember? So I'm just taking my Prism Libre bronzer and just bridge the tone between my blue and my skin. Don't worry, I'm actually going to use the rest of these for my next look, but this is supposed to be a sort of wearable daytime look, and I think I got it actually. So get my cheeks to match. This is my Huda Beauty in Bubblegum. See, fresh and springy. I definitely need a little bit of powdering down. There we go. That was my Huda Beauty in Cherry Blossom Cake. For my daytime look, I'm going to go into my Morphe palette, but you can use any white shadow that you want, and I'm just putting a little bit of white on the inner corner. Just blending it in. Lips have disappeared completely, so getting a bit of my Road Beauty. This is in the colour Lean. It's Maybelline Lip Shaper in Palest Pink. See, it's given me a hint of pink without washing my face out. And then to finish it off, Colourpop. Sweet little top from the Grinch collection that came out this Christmas. So there you go, a nice daytime look for spring, fresh colours, blue to go with my dress, pink to go with my dress. Now I'm going to build on this for a really dramatic evening look. So if you wanted a daytime look, just stop here. If you want the dramatic look, keep watching. Right, now the great thing about this look and doing it this way is you've actually got your framework on already. So here's where the fun starts. I'm going to darken up the outer corner by adding even more of this grey. And I'm using a flat packer brush to get some precision. If you wonder why I'm looking down, I've got a mirror just here. And you can really, really pack it on. Just stay within the outline that you've already spent quite a lot of time on. Or you can just go slightly above what you've got. And to make sure that that blends in, just go back into your bronzer and on the edges. Now some of you might be wondering why I keep my hair down. It's because if I put my hair up and out of the way, I tend to be a bit more gentle with what I'm putting on my face, and I put my hair down and my makeup disappears. So I always keep my hair down to keep my perspective. Back into the grey. Now there isn't a black in this palette, but if you really wanted to, you could add a tiny triangle of black. Mine's coming out of the Danessa Myricks palette, but you see, you just, with a very small brush, make sure you just put it on the corner. Same on this side. Little mini V. But we don't want to lose any of our blue, so we're going to go back with a tiny bit of blue, just to blend all that in. I must say this palette is a bit of a winner, it really is. It just blends itself, and I mean, I haven't really done anything other than pack on a load of eyeshadow, but it actually does work really, really well. As promised, even more of this. I'm going to go into this shade here, which I'm not quite sure, I haven't really experimented too much with this. But I'm going to put it over the white that's on the inner corner, only on the top lid. And this helps to keep your eye open, even though the darker colours are coming into play. The only colour I haven't used is this one here. And I'm going to add that into the middle. Now, of course, there's the lower lash line. I'm going to take this blue here and a very, very flat brush and then going into the grey, same brush, clean it off, and just put some of the grey on the outer corner. And make sure to join it with what's going on. Now again, if you want to deepen it up even more, you might not need to, but if you want to use a black, just tap that into the outer corner. Right, all of these next steps are totally optional. If you want to, I've got my hourglass liner, which I'm going to just drop on. Give myself a baby wing. Don't need to. You can do this as well as, or instead of, using the black. But full impact. Get it as close to the lashes as you possibly can. Give yourself a baby wing if you want. And even if it's a bit wobbly, it doesn't matter because you've got all that black there. So it's just the sense of a deeper colour. The lip's going to have to come off. It's completely overshadowed by the eyes. But before I finish up on the eyes, I'm going to put on some mascara on my lower lashes. I always use this Giga Lash by MAC because it's got such a fine brush that it's just easier to apply. Put this lighter blue on the lower inner corner. I've just realised this palette is called Midnight Lame. A bit late, sorry, but I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, Midnight Lame. It's gorgeous. And this is a luminizer and it's in the shade Sugarcane. It has pinks, and I don't know if you can see, but there's some blue in there as well. Purpley blue. There, actually you can see it there better. But my cheeks have slightly disappeared, so this is another new product to me. I've used it maybe like once before. This is the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin blush, and look at the colour of it. So it needs a light touch. It's going to wake up my face. See how it's woken up my face? It does the same job as the Rare Beauty Grateful, so if you've got that, you can use that. But basically anything that gives you a nice fresh glow, because you really have these eyes on. Okay, so question now is what lip? I saw a photograph the other day of someone who was wearing a bluish smoky eye with a bright red lip. So I was wondering whether I should apply this. It shouldn't work, I know, but it does, I think. Does it work?
Let's get started.
Does it work? I think it sort of does. I need to change my dress, but I'm not going out anywhere, so there you go. This is in the colour Red Smile, and it's 080, and it's a satiny colour. I've had this for quite a long time, but I did check and it is still available. My last finishing touch is going to be to add a little bit of this YSL Lash Clash in this blue. It just deepens the lash line even more. So it doesn't scream I'm wearing blue mascara, it sort of says look at my eyes. So there you go, the Dior palette. Is it worth it? I think 1000%. You can get daytime look, you don't have to use the blues, you can use this grey and the lighter blue for a sort of very toned down look. It's a really versatile palette. I'm really glad that I didn't go for the Chanel, because I think I've always been disappointed by the Chanel formulas, as I said earlier. So yeah, it's very easy to use. The formula, it's pigmented, but not too pigmented. You can build them. They blend so easily. I mean, you can use your fingers. So it's less expensive than the Chanel. So I think it's a good buy. And then of course the highlighter. I really like this because it gives my skin a pink hue that I don't actually have. And it sort of bridges the gap between my icy blue eyes and my skin. So I hope you've enjoyed this. 2 looks, 1 palette. Do like and subscribe if you've enjoyed it, and click on the notification bell so you don't miss anything. I upload at least a couple of times a week. I'll see you soon.